Good afternoon from beautiful and sunny Athens. I'm currently heading to the airport to catch my first of 2 flights to Southeast Asia, on a carrier that I've never flown before, Royal Jordanian. Before getting on this flight today, I'd heard absolutely everything under the sun about this airline. They could be the next Emirates, they have the best service in the Middle East, they're absolutely horrible, and so on and so forth. So I honestly didn't know what to expect on this pair of flights. One thing you can always expect in Athens though is a beautiful and fairly easy drive to the airport, which is just around 25 to 30 minutes from downtown. Athens International Airport, Eleftherios Venizelos as it's officially known, opened in 2001 in preparation for the 2004 Summer Olympics. In 2023, they handled 28 million passengers. That's a solid 10% more than in 2019. It also says a lot about how the Greek tourism market is faring these days. As we get ready to head inside, let me welcome you to the channel. My name is Kevin and I'm the Flip Flop Traveler. I think that the internet is in need of a whole lot more honesty when it comes to airline and hotel content, and that's why I'm here. I make trip reports and high-end hotel reviews, and I always self-fund my trips. In fact, you'll always be able to find the exact price that I paid in the description below. This content was created without the knowledge of or compensation from Royal Jordanian, because I want as typical of an experience as possible. So in this video today, I'm going to give you nothing more than my own personal, honest, and unbiased opinion based on my own experience. So back to my expectations. This first flight was originally scheduled to be on an Embraer 175, but was swapped to an A320 around a week before departure. Our A320 was actually recently acquired by Royal Jordanian from the now defunct Saudi Gulf Airlines and maintains the original interior. With quite a few departures to the US in the coming hours, the airport was as busy as I've ever seen it. I think arriving to the airport 3 hours prior to departure is basically the standard for international flights around the world these days, so I'm not too sure why the check-in desks only opened 2.5 hours prior. By the time the check-in agents arrived, they spent a solid 10 minutes just trying to organize proper lines for all of the passengers waiting to check in, since there were no established lines before they arrived. We were all just crowded together. I got inadvertently corralled into the economy line and was at the check-in desk in around 10 minutes. So here's where things kinda went downhill. When checking in, the agent noticed that I had a 9-hour layover in Amman, which I was totally fine with. She asked if I wanted to use their free transit hotel just for business class passengers. I honestly had no idea that they even provided this service. I mentioned that I didn't have a visa for Jordan and she said it wouldn't be a problem. Just go to the desk on the left prior to immigration and it would be taken care of. That was all true, but it was in no uncertain terms an absolute hellhole of a hotel. Likely the worst place that I've been in a very long time. I'll get into that more at the end of the video. For now, let's do a bit of shopping. The business class lounges at the airport have been revamped since I'd last been here, and I was given access to the Swissport Lounge, one level above the concourse. Here's your friendly reminder to please click that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with friends and family. Those are truly the easiest ways, all free for you, to help the channel continue to grow. If you'd like to support me further, my Patreon is linked in the description below. Thanks very much in advance. The food on offer was actually pretty good for what it was, but I gotta say I don't think I've ever seen such a strange layout for a lounge before. I think there was more empty space than there was usable space, making it feel really crowded and needing to search for a table. As we finish checking out the food and head to the gate, let's talk a little bit about Royal Jordanian. December of 1963 is when they began operations, originally named Aliyah Royal Jordanian Airlines after a royal decree from the late King Hussein. The airline at the time was named after his older daughter. Originally flying some DC-7s to Kuwait, Cairo, and Beirut, within a few years they began flying to their first European destination, Munich, and in 1970 ordered Boeing 707s. The 1970s also saw them add 727s and 747s, which allowed them to begin flights to Bangkok before the end of the decade. This I find really interesting, and I'm curious to explore Thai-Jordanian relations a bit more, because this was really unexpected. You see, Royal Jordanian flies to 55 destinations with 4 more starting this year. But Bangkok is the only destination east of Dubai. Kinda hard to believe that they don't fly to the likes of Kuala Lumpur or India, perhaps as well. And here is our A320 for today's 2-hour flight. They currently have a small fleet of 28 aircraft and have been a member of the One World Alliance since 2007, being the first member of any Middle Eastern carrier to join any alliance. That same year, they ordered 10 Boeing 787s to renew their long-haul fleet, the first Boeings they'd ordered since the late 70s. Their aspirations at the time were to dominate the regional market, specifically citing the fact that Emirates could not serve smaller destinations with their wide-body fleet, Fly Dubai not being a factor at the time. They currently have 7 787-8s in the fleet and recently announced a new order for 6 more 787-9s. Boarding began just a few minutes behind schedule. As we walk the jet bridge, let's take a look at today's flight stats. Note that currently, this flight is around 2.5 hours long. I flew this right prior to Royal Jordanian bypassing Israeli airspace. As I approached the aircraft, the purser came running out, well, walked briskly out, let's say, and told me to stop filming even before I attempted to step on board or took a picture of the plane to begin with. I'm not sure if he said it aggressively or if I was just startled by it as I wasn't looking. I had Gulf Air flashbacks, needless to say. Turns out it was just a misunderstanding. He was telling me not to film the airport, and just behind me was the station manager, I believe, and he said, no, it's fine. I asked the purser to make sure it was okay to film discreetly on board, and he said, sure, no problem. Anywho, here is our Saudi Gulf cabin. I was really confused when I stepped on board because I didn't realize that RJ had any planes with this interior. That being said, this cabin was in immaculate condition. I mean, seriously, it was spotless and every surface was just really well taken care of. I wondered if this was more about RJ or more about Saudi Gulf at the time. But my connecting flight, the aircraft for it on Royal Jordanian, was nearly as pristine, so props to them for their maintenance crew. The seat itself was comfortable and was your standard 2x2 regional business class configuration, the same that you'd find in US domestic first class, but with more legroom. Each seat could recline, had a leg rest, as well as a remote for the monitor ahead. Legroom was great, as were the individual air vents. In between the seats, there was a pair each of USB-A ports, headphone jacks, and universal outlets. There was also an itsy-bitsy little storage area just next to your hip, and a fully adjustable headrest. Arabic coffee was served and hot towels were passed around. Our monitors, I believe all the monitors, were not working for the duration of the flight. The flight attendant very gently seemed to blame this on the fact that the plane was new to the fleet. That said, I wasn't really expecting IFE on this flight to begin with, since it was originally an Embraer flight. A manual safety demonstration was performed, and we pushed back and quickly made our way to the runway, not wasting any time. If you head down to the description, you'll find my next 5 videos to come out, as well as other bits and pieces like the soundtrack titles featured in this video. On your way down there, don't forget to subscribe. I release full-length videos every Thursday and Saturday. Sit back and relax, the spool up, takeoff, and airport stats are coming up next. routing today would be a straight shot directly to Amman, more or less. I'll note that there were no blankets or pillows provided on this flight. But we were in store for a great meal. Here's the full menu. Conceptually, I think the menu's a little bit odd. You pick a full Western or full Oriental menu, Oriental being their word for Middle Eastern cuisine. This concept is fine, similar to how ANA and JAL do their catering, but I just found it a bit odd that the menu had zero explanation about this. I chose the Middle Eastern menu. All served on one tray, the starter was called pomegranate raita. I've always known raita to be something different, but this was fried eggplant with bell peppers and a coriander mint dressing. Still very good. For the main, we had Dawood Basha, marinated beef meatballs cooked with tomato sauce and potato wedges, and served with rice. This was absolutely delicious. Finally, for dessert, we had Kamar al-Din pudding, which is apricot pudding served with dried fruit and pistachio. Note that RJ only serves alcohol on their longer flights. Overall, it was a delicious meal, perfectly appropriate for a flight of this length, and I especially loved the crown logos on everything. A quick trip to the bathroom showed a spotless interior, with rituals and traditional products on offer. Before we knew it, we began our descent as we passed over Tel Aviv, Ben Gurion Airport in the distance. For me, the real treat though was passing the Dead Sea and all of the dirt devils everywhere as we were in our final descent. The airport stats are coming up. Enjoy the landing. So let me wrap this up quickly before talking about the transit experience. The flight itself I really cannot fault. The service was charismatic and efficient, the food was delicious, and the aircraft was in pristine condition. If I could change one thing, I'd really like a moving map, but I can live without it. So as for this transit from hell. So I went to the Amman airport desk as instructed. No one was there, but there was a note on the desk to reach through the barrier and use the phone to call someone. I did, and eventually someone came out from the back room. I waited for around 15 or 20 minutes, and then he wrote a voucher for me, verifying my next flight. He walked me through immigration, where we cut the line and my passport was stamped, despite not having a visa. Don't understand that one. We went to the outdoor arrivals area, and then waited for the shuttle, which brought me to the hotel, around a 5-minute drive away. From the outside, the hotel looked promising, fine. It was fine. I checked in, and again, a friendly reception guy. He said I'll be picked up at midnight for my 2:15 flight. I asked if it could be earlier, and he said sure, and we agreed on 11:30. He also gave me a voucher for dinner to use at the in-house restaurant. This is where all of the pleasant stuff abruptly ended. As soon as you walked out of the front lobby area, the entire hotel had a very distinct smell. Imagine you took an ashtray with a bunch of burnt cigarette butts and let it soak in water for a while. That's what it smelled like. I was immediately regretting this decision. I stepped off the elevator, and the first thing that I noticed was honestly the dirtiest carpet that I think I've ever seen, not exaggerating. As you stepped, you for lack of a better term, you could feel the carpet trying to hold on to you. If by now you're expecting more of the same in the room, you're catching on quite quickly. The carpet was just as dirty, but darker in color, so I suppose it looked cleaner. The whole room smelled, and the linens were so worn that you could see straight through them. I called the front desk to ask for a non-smoking room. This was a non-smoking room. I also asked if I could go back to the airport earlier and was told this was not an option. 3 hours prior was the earliest. Otherwise, I couldn't leave the hotel as they kept my passport. I did some work and eventually went to dinner. Let's just say I had quite a bit of white rice. The food was as delicious as the atmosphere is atmospheric, but at least it was mostly clean. After dinner, I mustered up the courage to take a nap, and I laid out a full layer of clothes on top of the bed, covering the pillows in a way that I haven't done since my youth hostel days. I'd say the showerhead basically sums up this hotel best. It took me a little while to figure out which video to put this transit experience in, but since Amman originating passengers won't have this joyous experience, I put it in the first video, which will reflect in this video's score. I got downstairs at 11:15 p.m. Surprise, surprise, no matter how many times I asked, the shuttle didn't come until 12:18. Lovely way to end the video. So, all of that said, I do hope you enjoyed the video, and now know to just stay in the lounge for however long your transit is. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to click that thumbs up button and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. I'll see you next time as this journey continues in Royal Jordanian business class to Bangkok. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching until the end.